Hi guys, welcome back to my channel. It's another bold lip. You know what that means. It's another declutter video. Declutters make me uncomfortable. Bold lips make me uncomfortable. It's a match made in heaven. Today is my third installment of the project Declutter, and today we are going to be focusing on eyeshadow palettes. I'm an eyeshadow palette hoarder. I have 2 baskets. Let me show you. 2, this size. Full of palettes. These videos have been ridiculously long, so editing has been torture. I am going to try to zip through these. From the last 2 videos, I noticed that I have a tendency to like explore the product to remind myself if I liked it or I didn't like it or why. I'm going to try to keep that to a minimum today because they're eyeshadow palettes. I feel like I don't need to get crazy. Just to recap though, I have 2 other baskets on the side. One of them is for products I was disappointed in, and the other is for products that I used to love, but I haven't used in a long time. And I'm going to be doing separate videos for both of those, so I'm separating things out into those 2 piles, as well as things that I'm getting rid of. So, without further ado, if you guys would like to see me declutter my eyeshadow palettes, see what I'm keeping, see what I'm getting rid of, then keep on watching. My hair like already got stuck into this lipstick and like dragged it across my face, so that's awesome. The lipstick I'm wearing, by the way, is the Vava Plump by Buxom in the shade Dare Me, which is super fun, but like, yeah, bold lips are just, they're a commitment. They're a commitment. Alright, so let's get into the eyeshadow palettes. I'm just going to dive in and pull things out. The first one right on top is the BH Studio Pro. The BH Cosmetics Studio Pro palette. I just got this recently, like in the last couple of months, and I've only used it a few times. I'm obsessed, so I'm keeping. This is the Huda Beauty Desert Dusk dupe. It's the Athena palette by Bad Habit. I got these on Shop Hush. I also got this one, which was the dupe for the Too Faced Peach palette. I have a few of these. I'm going to probably keep them all because I'm obsessed. The formula is so good on these, and they're like legit dupes. I'm actually thinking about doing a video on these, like specifically to show you side-by-side comparisons of the original and the dupe palettes. If you guys want to see that, leave me a comment, let me know, and I will do that for you. Next, I have the Urban Decay Heavy Metals palette. This was a holiday, I want to say limited edition. These shadows are beautiful. And it's kind of cool because you can just slide this thing out. Why is this mirror all yucky? But these are very pigmented, very beautiful shadows, so I will be keeping that for now. The Urban Decay Kristen Leanne palette, I did a video on this. I'm keeping this. This is new. This is the Becca Apres Ski palette. I wanted to love this. It's so beautiful, but like the truth is these shadows just were not as pigmented. I mean, it looks pigmented when you swatch, but then, well, man, I don't know. They just weren't as like some of their, I guess they're kind of like the same shades as the highlighters. Like that one I think is Opal. And it just doesn't come off as shimmery on the eye as the highlighter. And I already have most of these highlighters except for this rose gold one, which also does not, it just doesn't come out that good. I don't know. This is in the disappointing products pile, sadly. Sad but true. Total side note, aside from foundations, eyeshadow palettes are like my favorite thing, and I hoard them. So letting go of them is really going to be hard. Next is the Urban Decay Naked Heat palette. I love this palette so much. It is one of my favorite naked palettes of all time. So good. Yeah. I just love this palette so much. This next one is from Deck of Scarlet. This is the collaboration with, I can't remember who the collaboration was with. These are the colors. It's very fall. I kind of like it, except I just feel like I have too many palettes, so I may give this away. I don't know. I'm going to think about it. But I don't reach for it hardly ever. But I do like love this orange shade right here. And the shadows are very pigmented. I don't know. I don't know. That's in the I don't know pile. We have to have an I don't know pile. I'll go back to those later. Okay, next is the Dose of Colors Desi Katie palette. This is, I don't know what they called this palette, but it's the eyeshadow quad. And these are really great. I feel like over time they've kind of dried up a little bit. They're like not as pigmented as they were. Like, look. This one is, Sue's is, that one's still like popping, but the others, oh, and this bronzy shade is actually really good too. But the two shades with the glitter, the green one and this darker shade, they've kind of dried up a bit. I am going to keep it though because when it came out I was obsessed with it. The next palette was the Ombre Rouge palette by Becca. This is what it looks like. I mean, I've never reached for this palette. I can't even tell you how long I've had it, and I just don't get excited about it at all. So yeah, I'm going to put this in disappointed products because I love Becca, and this palette was just like so underwhelming that it was like a disappointment, I guess. Okay, next is a Z palette that I created, and I'm definitely keeping this. This is full of Makeup Geek, MAC, and ABH. These are like my staple eyeshadows. I haven't reached for it in actually quite a long time. This is messy. It needs to be cleaned, but I love all the shadows in here, and I made this myself, so I'll be keeping that. I have the Naked Basics. I'm going to keep that too because it's kind of a staple. This is the Pure Pro by Etienne palette. I like this palette. The colors are really pigmented, and I don't reach for it only because I have so many other palettes, and like when I look at it I don't get like super excited, but it does have like beautiful shades. It's a good palette. I'm gonna keep it. Next is the Makeup Forever Artist Shadow palette. I think this is number 4, I want to say. These are awesome. I love this palette. When I got it, I used it a ton. I haven't used it in a very long time. These are all matte shades. But if I'm looking for like a serious like matte look, if I'm like in my mind, I'm like, I just want mattes. Like this is a great palette to go to, so I'm definitely keeping that. I'm already talking too much. The Tartelette palette. Shit. I'm not doing very well with this, am I? I mean, it's a cool tone palette, and I don't really have a lot of cool tone palettes. I guess I'll keep it for now. Modern Renaissance, one of my favorites of all time. As you can see, very well loved. Keeping. Alright, so this is a palette from Flower Beauty. It's a kind of a cool toned, it's called Warm Natural, but these are like kind of actually cool toned shadows. They're very purpley. It's a beautiful palette, but I never reach for it. Like, I don't think that I would just go for a look with all these shades. Like, I don't know. It's not a bad palette by any means, but I don't think I'm going to keep it just because I have so many others that I reach for more. Next, I have the Love Your Selfie 2 palette from Pure Cosmetics. Here 2s. You open it up, and it has 8 eyeshadows. It has a highlighter, a contour, a blush, a lippy, a gloss, and a pencil, and a fully charged mascara, which is like one of my favorite mascaras of all time. I am not going to keep this palette only because I just have so many palettes. Like, this is going to be the theme of this video. It's like, I love this, but I really need to like make room. And it is a great all-in-one palette, but like it's really good for travel. But I just feel like the combination of colors in the eyeshadows isn't enough for me to like take with me traveling. I would want more, so then it defeats the purpose of having an all-in-one palette. That's just a personal preference. Everything in this palette is great. Another Pure palette that I have is the Soiree Diaries. I love this packaging. I love the marble with the rose gold. Here is what the inside looks like. I love this palette. I'm keeping this palette. These shadows are blendable, buttery. See, this is what I would take traveling because there's just so many looks that you can create with a palette like this. And it's just a great neutral staple palette to have. So I'm definitely keeping that. Remember when I said I wasn't going to elaborate too much? Next is the Becca by Jaclyn Hill palette. There was a ton of controversy around this palette. I feel like the one I got was a good one. I mean, I guess the whole deal with these shadows was that they were made at different factories and some of them came out like crappy, but like the one I got was pretty good. But they ended up pulling this palette because there was so much outrage over the whole situation. So I really don't use it very often because they don't make it anymore. And so like, why am I using it, especially on my channel when you guys can't get it? So I think I'm actually going to get rid of this. All right, I have two e.l.f. palettes here. One is the Prism eyeshadow palette and the other is the Mad for Mattes palette. Okay, so here's what they look like. This is the Mad for Mattes and this is the Prism palette. They're both really beautiful. They're great. The shadows are great. They're pigmented. I don't reach for either one, to be honest. This palette, you can't do a single look, but they do have these looks you can add to stuff. But I have the Heavy Metal palette from Urban Decay, which is essentially the same thing, only there's a lot more shades. This is a good drugstore option though, so I'm going to put it aside and see kind of later what I have left for drugstore and if I want to keep these. Like, this is a good neutral palette for drugstore, but I got a lot here, so I gotta see what, like, I don't want to get rid of these if I don't have other drugstore ones I like better. So I'm gonna put these aside and get back to it at the end. This is the Pure Cosmetics Transformation palette. I love this gold color. Oh my god, it's so good. Look at that. It is so pretty. But to be honest, I just do not reach for this palette. It has like a liner in it and a cream contour, a blush. This is a cream blush? Yeah, it's cream. There's a lot of creams in here. The shadows are gorgeous. But again, I don't reach for it. So it just doesn't make sense for me to keep it. All right, we're doing good. I'm really proud of myself. I'm already on to the next basket, so moving right along. Right on top, I have the Urban Decay Vice palette. This is what it looks like. I loved this palette back in the day. It has a couple of random like matte shades inside, and then it's got a ton of shimmers. It was a beautiful palette, but again, I have the Heavy Metals palette, and it's kind of the same thing. Although, can we talk about this color? Oh my god. It's so pretty. So yeah, I feel like I'm duplicating myself here, so I think I'm going to get rid of this. Sadly, I love Urban Decay. This is the Zoeva Cool Spectrum palette. I love Zoeva everything. I love everything Zoeva does. These colors, I mean, look at this purple. I like to keep palettes just in case, like if there's a look I'm thinking of and I'm like, I really wish I had a certain toned purple, I can look through my palettes and find it. So I don't really have anything like this. Like, there's a lot of shades in here that I don't have. So I actually might keep this one. This is going to go in the I don't know yet palette pile because I don't know. We'll see. This is the Carly Bible palette. I'm keeping this. This is like just a good everyday palette for, like, you know, you're just running around town. You don't need to be super glam, but it like does have everything you need for like a day-to-day look, and you can amp it up for night. And there's highlight shades. I don't know, I like this, so I'm keeping this. This palette was the biggest fail. I love Urban Decay. They're one of my favorite brands. So when this palette came out, I thought it was going to be so amazing. I mean, this is, what is it called? This Full Spectrum palette. And it just has like such amazing, vibrant colors. This is a palette you just kind of have just in case you want to use tones like this. But like if you needed color, like all the colors you could ever want are in here. But the pigment on these sucks so bad, you guys. I mean, I was like really, okay. look at this yellow color. It's, I just rubbed it like 15 times to get this pigment. It just swatched decently, but you guys trust me. I've tried this palette so many different times, and these colors just do not pay off. I don't know, maybe they like got better with age, because now they're swatching fine. Okay, well, there are definitely a lot of colors in this palette that I do not own in other palettes, like the yellow, like some of these blues, this chartreuse color, the green, that's chartreuse, that's what I meant. So I'm gonna think about this one a little bit more. I think I'm gonna try playing with it, or, oh, you know what I'm gonna do with this? I know. I'm gonna put it in the disappointing products pile. And then that way I'll be able to revisit it and decide. This is a palette that I made from my MAC shadows, and I took some of them out. These 3 shades, whatever they were, they're in my Z palette, but these are MAC staples, so I would definitely not get rid of that. This is the Jaclyn Hill by Morphe palette. I feel like everyone has this palette. This palette is just great because it has so many colors. If you're just looking for an all-in-one palette, this one is just really, really great because you can do anything you want with this palette. It has literally every shade you could possibly want. So yes, I'm definitely keeping that. Ooh, here is an old, broken MAC palette. These are some random ass colors, but they're MAC shades, so I cannot get rid of them. I just can't. Okay, this next one is the IT Cosmetics Superhero palette. I love IT Cosmetics so much, but this palette just didn't make any sense to me. It doesn't have a transition. It literally doesn't have, like, I can't make an entire look with this palette. There's so many colors in it, but I just can't, I just don't understand it, so not keeping this. I'm going to stick it in the disappointed products pile. Oh my god, the bomb. Nude Dude and Nude Tude. I used to love these. Nude looks like, and they're just like such fun palettes. I love the bomb. They have such, I don't know, like they have so much fun with their packaging and like their names and stuff. I'm gonna stick this in the products I used to love pile. So I have a couple of Zoeva palettes here. This one is the Cocoa Blend. This is such a beautiful palette. These shades are so buttery. I mean, I just am obsessed with this palette. And I haven't used it in such a long time. This is another one that I used to love. Then there is the Metals palette. These are, again, just so beautiful. Oh, these are some, like, this one looks like that chartreuse color from the Urban Decay, so maybe I can keep this one and get rid of that one, because this one has, like, some interesting colors, like outside of the box colors. And then I also have the Taupe palette, which looks like this. And you open it up, and it's all like cool tone taupe shades. This palette is also another one that's super beautiful. I guess this kind of reminds me a little bit of the Mad for Mattes in those tones, but there are some shimmers in here. I have a hard time like letting go, you guys. Yeah, I think I'm going to get rid of this one, and I'm going to keep the other two. Okay, this one is another Bad Habit palette. This one is a dupe for the Huda Beauty Rose Gold palette. This is called Aphrodite. It's so beautiful. I am obsessed. The pigment on these palettes is so great. I really want to do a side-by-side comparison video on these. I just love them. This is the other Kristen Leanne palette. This was the Kaleidoscope palette. Now, see, there's another... See, if I have this, I don't think I need the Full Spectrum palette. I mean, I think this has everything that I would ever want. This is the Pixie by Petra, and it's a collab with It's Judy Time. And this is what it looks like. And these are just the greatest, warmest, yummiest shadows. The only thing I wished this palette had was like a deeper orange. Like always wished this was like, I always wished this shade here was just like more orangey, like more of a burnt orange, because I just feel like it's so similar to these that it could have gone a little bit warmer, like a little bit more orange. But aside from that, like, I love this palette, and it's a really great drugstore warm shadow palette, so I'm keeping it. This palette is from a brand called Borghese. I don't even know how to say it, to be honest. I've always butchered their name. The palette is pretty awesome. It is cool tones, but I've had this palette a very long time, and I never ever reach for it. I used to. When I had it, I used it all of the time, but like now, I just have, again, so many palettes to choose from that I just don't reach for this. So I'm going to give it to a good home. Okay, next we have the Kat Von D Shade and Light Eye palette. I needed this palette when it came out. I was like, I have to have this palette. But honestly, I never use it, like, ever. It's good to have for like basics, but like I have Urban Decay's Naked Basics. I don't know if I can get rid of this, but I really never reach for it. I actually kind of felt a little disappointed by it, to be honest. I don't know why. It's just when I look at it, I don't get excited. Maybe if there was a shimmer in here, I would be more excited. I don't know why I get more excited over shimmers than I do over mattes, but this palette just underwhelms me. I'm going to keep it though. Or maybe I'll put it in Disappointed and then revisit. That's what I'm going to do. Okay, this next one is the Lorac Pro 3. I saw this palette and was like, gimme. I thought it was the most beautiful palette I'd ever seen. But then when I used it, I was like, this palette sucks. I hated it. And I realized that later that it was just the formula. These shadows are very powdery. You really have to play with them, because when you go to swatch, they look like they're going to be pigmented and great, but like, I just did not enjoy applying them at all. So I'm going to stick it in the disappointing products, because I haven't really looked at it in a very long time. Like, I haven't played with it in a long time. So I'm going to stick it in disappointing products and just see one more time, because it is such a beautiful palette, but I just don't, I think it's just Lorac formula I just don't like. That's what I think it is. Which, to each his own, you know what I mean? Like, there's other products by Lorac that I love. But I feel like I'm going to revisit it one more time and just see. A fair chance, give it one more time. One more chance to wow me or disappoint me, whatever it chooses to do. Okay, this is the 24 Karat Nude palette by Maybelline. These were when Maybelline shadows sucked. The new ones are so much better. These ones were so bad, you guys. Oh my god. Yeah, no, we don't even need to like discuss. It's just they need to go. This is a Milani palette. I actually love this palette, but for some reason I just never really reached for it. I feel like I've used it in the past, but small palettes like this, I just don't go for them, because the looks you can create are so limited. But I do like this for drugstore. I don't think I have another warm drugstore palette, so oh yeah, I do. I have the Pixie. This is really, is this similar to the Pixie one? Oh, it has that orange shade that I was like wishing that this one had. Alright, I'll keep them both. Twist my arm. Ooh, next we have this Basic Bitch palette by MAC. You guys, I featured this in a video, like a favorites and hated video, as like a hate it, because I hated this palette. I wanted to love this palette, and I flipping hated it. First of all, this is your Basic Bitch palette. When I think about like Basic Bitch, I'm thinking about like neutrals, basics, you know? This is a cool tone palette. There's nothing basic about it. And also, come on, MAC, nobody uses cool tones like this. But anyway, aside from that, the formula on these was not MAC formula. It was just bad. And I hate the setup. It's just not aesthetically pleasing. I hate when brands scatter shadows. I like things to be symmetrical. Call me crazy. Like, they look okay when you swatch them, but they did not blend out good at all. They were patchy. They were just not good. Yeah, this is going bye-bye. I have 2 of these little customizable palettes from Buxom. And, you know, I've used them plenty. But the thing about these palettes, I love the outside of the packaging, but there's something about the inside that, I don't know what it is. I look at the palette and I just don't get excited. And I love Buxom. I'm wearing the lipstick. But, I mean, some of these colors are just so beautiful. And I've definitely reached for it when I'm looking for something like... I've definitely reached for this vibrant purple. And this blue shade. Fine. I'll keep them. Okay, so next I have this palette called the Retro Love Palette. This is another one from Bad Habit from Shop Hush, and this is the dupe for the Subculture palette, and you guys, it blew my mind. Like, did I get shadow on my face? Oh. Especially considering the Subculture palette got so much backlash for being powdery and just a mess. I ended up not buying it, and I wanted to because the colors were just... I was so into it. Like, I look at this palette and I'm so drawn to it, and I'm like, I just get so excited to like create looks. Like this olive shade right here, like, and then this color here. Oh my god, I just love. So, when I got this and the formula blew my freaking mind, I got excited because I'm like, oh, I can have the Subculture palette, but actually a good formula. So, I love this. All those, I'm telling you guys. And I think this palette is like $10 or $12. It's either 10 or 12. I'm telling you, you guys got to check out Shop Hush to get these Bad Habit palettes because they're amazing. Okay, next I have 2 little e.l.f. palettes. They are really, I love e.l.f. This palette is lovely. These baked eyeshadows are great, but like, I don't like small palettes, you guys. I just don't. What am I doing with this? This is definitely for the girl who wants a very simple look, a staple everyday makeup look that is not complicated, that she can go to every day. You know, that likes a more natural look. Like, if that's you, then you will love this palette. But it's not really me. And these shadows are really beautiful too. Like, I love their baked everything, but they gotta go. Oh my god, okay, so I don't like small palettes, but this palette from Physicians Formula was literally mind-blowing. I have to swatch these for you guys because they are so freaking amazing. Do you see that? Did I even do it any justice? They're a little on the powdery side, but like if you spray them with Fix Plus, they bling so much. And for a drugstore, like these were really a great surprise when I tried these. And plus the packaging is so cute. It's glittery. Like I have to keep these. Oh, this palette. I got this palette from Clarins. I actually did a collab with them. I created a look with this palette for Instagram, and honestly, I was on the struggle bus, you guys, like, trying to create a look because, I mean, there's no transition color. I just don't like quads. I just don't. It's just, I don't know what to do with them. You know what I mean? And they don't excite me, and I won't reach for them. Speaking of quads, I have all these quads from L'Oreal. These were sent to me in PR, like, I don't know, a year ago-ish. And, they're great, but they're quads. And I just don't like them. It's not that I don't like the formula. The formula's great. I've used them. Don't get me wrong. And in terms of drugstore, like some of these I feel like I should keep just to have drugstore colors like this. Like these purples are really cool. This, I remember this silver shade was like blinding. I loved it. But, you know guys, I never reach for them. Like ever. I feel like somebody else could appreciate them more than I do. So I think I'm going to let them go. So that is it from the 2 baskets. That's the second basket. It's also empty. I just want to go back to this Cool Spectrum palette. I actually think I'm going to let it go because I did see I have other palettes that have these colors in them. As well as the Prism palette from e.l.f. and the Mad for Matte palette I'm going to keep. I'm going to keep the Mad for Matte palette because of my drugstore palettes. I had warm tones, a lot of warm tones, but I didn't have something just super neutral / cool tone. I feel like these are kind of both. So I'm going to keep this one, and I will let go of this one. Okay, you guys, we did it. That is it. That's the end of the video. I cannot believe how much I'm getting rid of. So much. But I'm excited to kind of lighten the load, and I think that it will make me reach for some of the palettes that I haven't reached for in a long time because they're buried underneath stuff, you know? I do have some other palettes that I didn't include in this video because I just got them in and I'm still testing them. Like I have the Urban Decay Naked Heat Petite palette. I also have 3 new palettes from BH Cosmetics that I'm testing out. Obviously, I'm not going to get rid of those because I'm still trying them and testing them. That is it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. It would mean the world to me. You can also follow me on social media. I am on Snapchat, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. My handle is ZachGlamLatte. I actually don't even get on Snapchat anymore, you guys. I don't even know why I'm saying that I'm on Snapchat. I am on Snapchat, but I don't snap anymore. I'm like all about the Instagram / Instagram story life. You know, there's just too many social platforms. We gotta cut it down. Leave me a comment down below and let me know if you prefer Snapchat or Insta stories. Which one you use more, if you've kind of let go of Snapchat like I have because of Insta stories. I mean, to be fair, I do it for a job, so you know, consolidate. But make sure you're following me on my social, was the point of the story. And I will see you guys next time. Bye.